Hey everyone, welcome to Scoop on Football, the YouTube channel that gives you the scoop on all things related to the beautiful game. On Scoop on Football, you can expect analysis of the biggest events, intelligent debates, wild banter, and even the odd rant here and there. So kick back, destroy your six pack with a six pack, and let this sexy, handsome angel entertain you. For my first video on this YouTube channel, I thought I'd do a reaction to the England versus Russia game. I was going to do it immediately after the full-time whistle blew on Saturday, but I thought to myself, let me sit back, digest what's happened, sort of capture the mood of the nation, see what people are saying. And especially that's because it's my first video. You want to be careful. You don't want to react too quickly, too hastily, say the wrong thing. So here we are. A couple of days later, on a Tuesday evening, I've long since gotten over the disappointment of drawing 1 against Russia, conceding in the flaming last minute. And I thought now was a good time to do a video, especially as we've got that massive game coming up against Wales on Thursday. So now is a good time to do a review of what happened against Russia, whilst also previewing against Wales. And I've got to say, I'm looking forward to the game on Thursday because we played pretty darn well on Saturday. We didn't get the win we deserved, but I thought it's the first time England have played well in an international tournament since Euro 2004. That's 12 years. 12 years of disappointment, and it's the first time we've really managed to sort of turn up for an international game. So I think the lads definitely deserve a pat on the back for that. Just to give you a couple of stats, we had 9 shots on goal during the first half. That's the most England have had in an international tournament since Euro 2004 against Croatia. And I felt a big part of why we were able to exert so much pressure on Russia is because for once in a very long time, we had a solid attacking shape. I thought the two fullbacks, what's his name from Tottenham, the left back, Danny Rose, and the right back, Kyle Walker, they got forward a lot. They were very energetic. I liked how they didn't betray their natural game, because England tend to have a tendency, I don't know why, but when they get together, they lose all sort of cohesion and naturalness in the way they play and sort of rabbit around the game. But I felt the fullbacks were a big part of why we were able to exert so much pressure. We kept Russia camped within their own half and we didn't let them get out at all. And I felt because of that, we were able to knock the ball around quite a bit. We didn't lump the ball forward at every opportunity. When Roy Hodgson first joined during Euro 2012, that's what we kept on doing a lot, from back to front. I forget who was playing at the time, but we'd launch it from the back, get it up to Andy Carroll, and that was the number one game plan, the only game plan we had. But we sort of mixed up against Russia. I've got to give shout out to Wayne Rooney. When I saw that he was playing in midfield, not up front, I was worried. I know Wayne Rooney's not the player he used to be. He's kind of, I wouldn't call him average, but he's far from world class. I wouldn't even call him a very good player anymore. He's merely just a decent player right now. So I was sort of worried that we were picking players based on the names as opposed to how good they are currently. But Wayne Rooney had a good game. He connected the passes very well. And after making those passes, he didn't just stand there like a garden statue. He actually followed it up, got into the box, and looked to make something happen. I felt that anything good that happened with England started with Wayne Rooney, and I've got to give him his props. He's had a lot of flack recently, especially coming from me. I'm not the biggest Wayne Rooney fan, never have been, but he had a great game. And I think I sort of loved how we varied the passes as well. Wayne Rooney attempted the most long passes for England. He attempted 6, successfully made 5. But I loved how we had people making long passes, we had people making short passes, trying to connect with 1-2s. You don't associate that with England, and I've got to give props to Roy Hodgson. I remember during our so-called golden era, or the golden generation, whatever they're called, between 2002 and 2010, don't know why we had that golden generation tag labelled on us anyway, because we did absolutely nothing during any tournament. But yeah, the likes of Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, David Beckham, those three were the most culpable of just launching long balls all the time, long ball after long ball after long ball, and there was no sort of appreciation for the shorter ball. No, traveling short distances, pulling players apart, and I felt we tried to do that. And again, another player I've got to give a shout out to because I felt he was probably the man of the match. That's Dier. Again, another Tottenham player. He completed, off the top of my head, I believe 68 passes and was successful with 90% of them. And, those might be numbers to you, but trust me, it makes such a difference when the defenders, the goalkeepers, they know that when they bring the ball out of defence, they've got someone who they can trust with the ball. And from there on, the attack can be ignited. And I felt Dier was very instrumental in doing that. And he showed his technique later on with a brilliant free kick, taken off the hands of Harry Kane, who had a nightmare. More on that later on. But yeah, again, just like with Wayne Rooney, I felt a lot of good things started with Dier. He's the first person the defenders looked to get the ball out of defence and into midfield, and he did his job perfectly. The last person I'll give a positive mention to is Adam Lallana. Now, I'm not a big fan of the guy. In fact, I don't rate him, period. But he had a good game. Unlike the other two I mentioned, I don't remember any slick passages of play from Lallana, but he was England's most dangerous player after Rooney. He had two chances, one of which he should have scored from. I think that was when Kyle Walker put him through from the right-hand side, and he was in on goal, albeit slightly at an angle, but, one-on-one with the goalkeeper, I expect you to at least hit the target, not drag it wide like he did. And I think the other one was when he was inside the box and he shot straight at the goalkeeper. I'll give him a bit of credit for that because although he was straight in on goal, he had about 2 or 3 defenders in front of him, and it would have been very difficult to sort of navigate the ball had he tried to go for either side of the net. But I feel because of that, Lallana was in a way a microcosm of the game. He had all bark but no bites, all icing but no cake, all farts, no doo-doo. Bad analogies aside, I just feel that for all our efforts, we never really dominated. We were on top, but we lacked the penetration. And I feel like 3 people have got to take the blame for that. One's Harry Kane, the other's Raheem Sterling, and the manager Roy Hodgson. They've got to take the blame for that. Starting with Kane, I felt he looked lost, man. The service he got wasn't great, and he's definitely not the type to create for himself, but still, I have no sympathies. He plays the lone role up front for Tottenham, so he should know how to impose himself better. And damn it, will someone tell me why Kane's taking all the set pieces? Seriously, I think Bruno Alves must have scrambled his brains with that karate kick to the head because some of those corners were bad. Remember the one 2 weeks ago against Portugal when he passed it straight to that player? Didn't even attempt to try and get over the head of the defenders, just straight to the Portuguese players. Poor man. I expect so much more from someone who I believe was the top goal scorer in the Premier League this year, scored about 25 goals. He scored some bangers as well, so he's definitely got better technique than what he's shown in previous games. Like I said, maybe Bruno Alves scrambled his head because some of those deliveries were poor and his all-round game just wasn't up to par. Sterling weren't up to par, as he's been all season. Complete waste of 50 million. But unlike Kane, I do have some sympathy for Sterling. I know Sterling's like public enemy number 1, but just hear me out right now. Just hear me out. Ready? Alright. Raheem Sterling is not a winger. I repeat, Raheem Sterling is not a winger. Somebody please give Hodgson the memo. Look, man, as I'm confident Sterling will continue to fail played in a wing, I will drop a video later on why I think being a winger is hampering his development as a player. I'll do a separate video because, trying to milk these views here. But in a nutshell, he has none of the prerequisites needed to be a winger. Well, besides being fast. Look, man, I'm tired of England managers thinking if a player's fast and he's small, they're automatically wingers. Like, no. Look, if the wingers aren't good enough, Townsend, Chamberlain, Walcott, I'm looking at you, then just don't play them. I remember when the solution to the left wing crisis, because that's what the media built it up back in the days, was to play Emil Heskey there. Heskey! And then we cry because Ryan Giggs chose Wales over England. Well, newsflash. Giggs is Welsh, and so is Bale. We need to be innovators, man. Look at Spain. The last time they played with wingers was in 2006, with Vicente and Joaquin. Heck, most of the time Spain played with a false nine. They don't use strikers. I feel this lack of innovation was the reason behind Hodgson keeping on Sterling, sticking to a 4-3-3 to preserve his shape. Wrong call. As soon as we went 1-0 up, we should have sent on Vardy or Sturridge, especially as moments before we scored, Rooney hit the post. We clearly had Russia on the ropes, and I felt with Jamie Vardy coming into the tournament as not only England, but perhaps Europe's most confident player, and with him being blisteringly quick, and the Russian centre-backs, I've forgotten their names, but one of them is 33, the other is 36. We could have brought Vardy on and he would have torn them to shreds, because especially as they were on the ropes, they were clearly tiring out. Either that or bring on Daniel Sturridge. Injury permitting, I believe he is England's best player. And yeah, like I said, preferably I'd prefer to have brought on Vardy in that moment, just because his pace would have frightened the hell out the Russian defenders, and also because Sturridge, you can never really trust him whether it's going to break down or not. But one of the two should have come on. We'd have changed the formation from the 4-3-3 to the Diamond 4-4-2, and we'd have given it a go. Instead, we didn't. With the substitutions we made, Wilshere came on, Milner came on, we lost momentum, didn't keep the ball as well, and eventually we allowed Russia to come back with a last-minute equaliser. But yeah, I think that's a disappointment for me. But apart from that, I'm looking forward to playing Wales because we played well. Like I said earlier, at the beginning of this video, it's been a long time that you can say that England played well in an international tournament. So I feel as though we've really got nothing to fear against playing Wales. And I know Gareth Bale, he's been talking a lot of smack recently in interviews about how Wales are more passionate than England. And you know what? That might be the case because Wales haven't played in an international tournament since the 1950s. I forgot the exact year. So that might be true. But to a degree, I believe that's nullified because, like I've been saying throughout this whole video, England haven't played well in an international tournament in such a long time. And we have a lot to prove to ourselves, to the nation, and a lot of pride to restore. So I feel that passion aspect of things is kind of negated. There is something that Aaron Ramsey said, though, that is quite important. Wales don't have the superstar names like England do, but Ramsey mentioned that Wales are better than England, and whilst that is a stretch, there is a lot of parity between the two teams. So we've got to be careful about that. I think if you were to line up the two teams together and see who would make a combined team, you get a lot of Welsh players in there. I definitely have Ashley Williams ahead of Gary Cahill. Both are not great defenders, but I feel Ashley Williams is more consistent. Rose, for me, is a better left back than Davis. It's been proved for their club team, Tottenham, but there's not a lot between them. If you wanted perhaps more defensive stability, I could see why you'd go with Davis over Rose. And then if you go into midfield, you could easily put Joe Allen or Aaron Ramsey in the England midfield. And then, of course, moving further forward, Gareth Bale is the best player between the two teams. So I definitely hear what Ramsey's saying if he is, exaggerating a bit. So yeah, I think we've got to be a bit careful, but at the same time, we've got nothing to worry about because Wales have the same weaknesses England do. A lot of the Welsh players are based in the Premier League, and for those of you that follow the Premier League, there isn't really a strong defence in the Premier League. And I look at the Welsh defence, and none of their names really stand out for me, just like with England. So I feel like we've got slightly more going forward. We've got perhaps slightly better midfielders as well. So we've got nothing to fear, but we just need to be careful. Normally at this point, you'd probably want me to make a prediction. I won't do that. Not that I'm scared. If any of you have been following my blog, that's called Scoop on the City, you know that I usually make predictions. I won't do it for international football because it's such a weird setup and I just don't want to look foolish. But I guess perhaps what I could ask you to do before I end this video is to see who you think would make a combined England and Wales team. In the video, I'll probably show a graphic of my team, and then I'll drop the link there for you guys to pick your own teams. Thank you very much if you've made it this far into the video. If you've liked what you've seen, definitely like, comment and subscribe, as I'll be dropping videos very regularly from now on. Also, as it's my first attempt at making a video, any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, take care.